Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. A little while back, a lady called Sharon came into the shop. She watches the channel, and we had a good old chat. And she had a suggestion for a zippered pocket on the corner of a towel. So when we go to the beach or the gym or to your sporting clubs and you need to wipe off that sweat or just towel yourself down, a lot of people just take a set of keys in with them, maybe a few coins and their phone, and they don't have anywhere to put them. So today we're going to be making a zippered pocket for the corner of a towel. It will be placed underneath your towel, so if you're at the beach you can kind of bury it in the sand. You'll have your necessities nicely hidden away in this zippered pocket. Come along and we'll do this quick project together. Okay, there's very little we need for this project. I've got a piece of fabric for my lining, a very lightweight iron-on interfacing. So this is a dressmaker's interfacing. We have our exterior piece and we have an 18 centimetre or 7-inch zip. The size of this fabric can really be any size you like. I'm going to fuse this interfacing onto the wrong side of my exterior piece. Then I'll trim all the layers back to 8 inches or 20 centimetres square. I'll fuse these two pieces together and then I'll cut these down. I'll be right back. Okay, we have our 2 squares of fabric. These are both 20 centimetres or 8 inches square. Grab one of your pieces of fabric and choose a side that you can see well enough. We're going to measure from one corner out 14 centimetres or 5.5 inches. Place a mark on the fabric there, and from that same corner we're going to come up the same distance. So 14 centimetres or 5.5 inches, and we can mark a line across those 2 points. This line is going to be the placement of our zip. Place both your lining and your main piece of fabric together and we'll make a cut straight across on the diagonal there. And separate the 2 pieces. What we can do now is take our zip. Because we now have a cut on the bias or the diagonal of our fabric, it's going to make this piece of fabric really stretchy. So you want to be very careful when you're handling this. This one's not so bad because it's been stabilised with some interfacing, but this one hasn't been stabilised. So once you start pulling at it or playing with it, it's going to stretch out of shape. So don't handle it too much. Take the larger piece of fabric, find the centre here, and the centre of your zip. Find the centre of our lining as well. And again, just be very careful. And we'll do the same on the smaller pieces. With our centre position found, we'll place the zip faced down onto the diagonal edge. And we'll take our lining piece and place that on top. So we're going to have the right sides facing. Line up the edges here, and then we can take this to the machine and sew right across there. Once we've sewn that in place, we'll open it out and top stitch. Okay, we'll start with the back stitch and then we'll sew all the way to the other end. When you get to the slide underneath, you might just need to raise your foot and move that out of the way. Once you've sewn the zip in place, bring both the back and front fabrics to the same side, smooth it out, and we'll top stitch. So you want to line up the edges so that they're nice and even, and we're going to top stitch all the way from one end to the other. Okay, the larger side is in place. And now we need to attach the zip to the smaller side. Match up your markings and flip it over, and we'll grab the lining and we'll do the same thing. Place the lining right side together, match up those marks. And we can take that to the machine and sew that in place as well. And then we'll top stitch again. And once that's done, open out the fabric, bring the lining and main together. Line those up on the side again to make sure they're nice and even. And we'll top stitch that too. Okay, so we have our zip in place now and the fabric is almost back to shape again. What we're going to do here is just sew over the end of the zip where the metal bar is there, and also at this side here. We want to close this up so that the zip slide doesn't come off. I'm also going to be trimming this square down to size. I'll quickly go and do that now. So all I've done here is sewn straight across the end of the zip in front of the middle tab. So you can see that on this side here, and I've done the same on the other side. On the end with the opening, I've just put a little bit of adhesive tape just to keep the end of the zip in place so that it doesn't spread apart. And you can remove that once you're finished. Now we're only going to trim back two sides. These two sides, there's no problem with those at all. I want to get rid of the metal tabs, so I'll take off the least amount of fabric that I can, line up the straight edge of my ruler with the straight edge of the fabric that I've got. And you can mark that and then cut it with scissors, or if you've got a rotary cutter, you can cut it with your rotary cutter. And if you find that's a little bit awkward, you can just cut it with scissors. That's been cut down to 7.5 inches or 19 centimetres, and on this side I want to do the same. I'll cut off this excess now. And there's our finished square. So you just want to make sure that you do have a square now. What we want now is for our bag or pocket to sit like this on the corner of our towel. So take your exterior pieces and bring those corners together. So with the main fabric, I've brought the corners together and clipped those in place so that we have a triangle all the way around with a fold at the top. We'll do the same for the lining. Okay, once you've got all the layers clipped together, so we've got our lining layers clipped separately from the main, move the lining away from the exterior, and this is where the zip is here. You'll sew from the edge of the zipper tab all the way to the end and come across here and sew to the other side of the zipper tab, and that will secure that corner in place. Once you've done that, you move the lining out of the way of the top section and you'll do the same thing. So from the edge of the zipper tab out to the corner on both sides. And then when you're doing the lining, you'll do the same. We'll flip it over. We'll sew from the edge of the zipper tab out on both sides here. And at the bottom, we need to leave a small opening for turning through. So on one side, you can close that up. On the other side, we'll sew the bottom section closed, we'll sew the top section closed, leave a little opening here for turning through later. And the only thing you won't have sewn is the area where the zip is. So all these layers you want to sew separately from each other. Once you've done all of that, then you can go to the edge where the zipper tab is and you can just sew straight across this section here where the actual zipper tape is, and then that'll close up all of the holes that you might have in your fabric. So I'm going to start off with the main fabric or the exterior fabric. I'm only using 1/4 inch or 6mm seam allowance backstitch. I'm coming up to the edge of the zipper tape and I'll backstitch. Then I'll move this piece of lining out of the way and I'll do the same at this end. You just start where it's comfortable for your presser foot. And we'll do the same for the other side. And once I've done that, I'll do the same again for the lining. Flip the fabric the other way so the lining is at the bottom. And again, we'll just sew up to the edge of the zipper tape. On this side, I'm going to leave an opening. So I'll come down just a few stitches and backstitch, leave enough of an opening to turn through, backstitch to the end. On this side, I can sew right up to the tab. Okay, once you've done all of those layers separately, where the opening is here, you can see where the zip is inside there, we'll just close up that small section and you'll be sewing through all of the layers. And it doesn't matter if you do sew further than what you've sewn earlier. As long as the majority of the fabric pieces are separate, that's all that matters. Okay, so those layers have all been stitched together. We can clip our corners. Find the opening and turn it the right way around. Hopefully you've remembered to leave the zip open. Okay, once you've turned it all the right way around, poke out your corners and you've got a nice little triangle pocket pouch here. We still need to close up the opening on the side, so I will go and do that very quickly now. It's just a matter of bringing the layers together and sewing that on the very edge. I'll do that now, and then we can attach it to the towel. Now our pocket is ready to be sewn into the corner of our towel. This is Coco's towel, so I think that this might be a good little treat pouch in the corner of her towel. So what you do is find any corner of your towel, and you're better off putting it on the wrong side of your towel, because that way if you're going to the beach, you can actually hide your pocket face down onto the sand or on the grass, wherever you may be using it. That way nobody will see that you've got a pocket in the corner of your towel. All you need to do is place the pocket next to the corner of the band that you have. So depending on your towel, you might have a fold over. I would place the pocket right next to the fold, just because of the amount of bulk that might be in your towel. The other thing you might want to do is, at the moment we've got a nice big pocket here, but you can make this a double pocket by going along and top stitching this edge here, and when you secure it to your towel, you'll only sew the two outside edges and leave this edge open. That way you can put something inside the pocket there. It's not going to be secure, but you might have something that you want to put in there. But otherwise I would go and sew all three edges down and just have the one pocket on the inside. So have that lined up where you want, sew around the three sides there, and then you're finished. So you just want to sew slowly, and we'll start off with a back stitch. I'm going to start away from the corner, so I'll come in a little bit. That way I don't have too much bulk at the end there and have my threads get all tangled up. So you're basically just top stitching everything in place. I like to triple stitch over the area where the zip is because of the amount of bulk there. So there you go, your pocket is completely finished. You have enough room in there to pop your car keys, a few notes or doggy treats, and it's nice and secure. If you have that face down at the beach, bury it in the sand and nobody will know that there's even a pocket there. It's a good way to secure a few little bits and pieces that you might need when you go to the beach. If you wanted this pocket big enough to put your mobile phone, then make a bigger square. You can also move this zip further up. So where I said to do, I think 14 centimetres, You can go closer to the centre and of course put a bigger zipper in and make this a much bigger pocket with the opening up a little bit higher. I did want mine right about there though. So wasn't that a simple project? A really simple solution to the age-old problem of what do you do with your keys and your coins when you go to the beach? It's been a long time since I've been to the beach. The closest one for us is about 2 hours away. We take towels with us when we go to our table tennis and dancing events, so we're always looking for somewhere to put our keys and coins. So I think that's a perfect little solution, and thanks so much to Sharon for the idea. You can modify this size pocket to any size you like. If you wanted to fit your mobile phone in there, make your pocket bigger. Instead of using, say, an 8-inch piece of fabric, maybe go up to your 10-inch, fold it in half and work out where you want to put your zip. And you'll be able to get your phone in there as well. It's up to yourself if you want to close up the top section and maybe just have a little slot pocket there. I think it's more secure though to have that sewn down, but that's completely up to yourself. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I shall catch you next time. Bye for now.